It is Thompson to Clark. Brad, this is one of the first times, and I can't even remember, that we actually haven't live streamed our show. It's historically a live stream show on YouTube. People listening on audio, they don't care about this, but we decided, it's probably going to have a little bit of a shorter show. Giants have not signed a new manager or hired a new manager yet, so there's not a ton to talk about in Giants baseball land, and the NLCS and the ALCS are ongoing, and so far the Toronto Blue Jays have taken a giant dump on the baseball field.
Yeah.
And the Mariners of all teams just looking great. So that especially after the NLDS, which seemed to go on for about, I don't know, that game felt like it was like a 10-hour game the other night.
That was crazy because I was watching other stuff and I kept coming back, and then finally it was around the 12th inning. I was like, you know what? I told my wife, I said, I'd like to watch the rest of this. It's late. I'm just going to watch the rest of this. Should be over soon. I said, boy, it could keep going. We could keep going like 5-6 more innings.
And it did.
Yeah. And the poor Blue Jays, I picked them to win the World Series. So, I mean, there's still time. We know how these series go.
Oh, yeah.
It's still the Seattle Mariners. So you never know. Anything could happen.
Yeah, and so on the other end, the Dodgers and the Brewers have kicked off their NLCS, and there's something in me that says, "Oh man, the Brewers are the perfect team to beat the Dodgers."
Yeah,
and they beat them in the regular season every single game that they played. But the Dodgers seem to have been peaking at the perfect time right now. It's so frustrating to watch.
Always. You know what we need more of? Clayton Kershaw. We need more of Clayton Kershaw because that'll kind of even.
Did they put him on the roster?
Who knows? I mean, you think they'd have to, right? In a 7-game series, you kind of have to. But
I think the Giants left Lincecum off the roster on one of the 2014 series. I don't remember which one, but
yeah, it could have been the 3 of 5 2014.
Yeah.
What was our 3 of 5 in 2014? Cardinals, right?
Yeah.
So it could have been that series, but I don't know, man.
Well, this hoping for either a short series for the Brewers or just a long series, no matter what. And we'll have to figure out. Like you had the Blue Jays winning it all. I had the Phillies winning it all, and they barely got to game 4. And,
yeah,
guys forget how many outs there are in the most important games of their life, and fumble the ball, and like this is like so much pressure. I feel bad for the pitcher, but at the same time, like, dude, like, what did you expect?
Yeah, I mean, it's come down to basically, we're pinning our hopes on the Brewers. We're pinning our hopes on the Blue Jays. We're pinning our hopes on the Mariners.
Yeah.
Because we're not there. That's the problem. By the way, the 2014 3 of 5 series was Washington.
Washington, yeah. That's the one where Brandon Belt hit the home run in inning number 18 or whatever.
Exactly. We had the Cards in the 4 out of 7, and that's where Ishikawa, right?
Yep,
walked it off. That was the big one. But yeah, I mean, we're pinning our hopes on so many other teams because we're Giants fans.
I know.
Oh no, nobody wants to see this garbage.
The series, like I think the MLB got what they wanted last year with the Yankees and the Dodgers. They got Yankees and Red Sox this year, but the Yankees kind of disappointed a little bit there and just getting mashed by the Blue Jays. And then on the other side, the Tigers, who had such a fantastic like first 65-70% of the season, and they just fell off so hard. And then on the other side, Phillies were fantastic. But like we said, when they lost Wheeler, that was kind of a like, oh no, this may be a problem. And then on the other side with the Brewers and the Cubs, having a long series. So it's been interesting. I wouldn't call this playoffs like super exciting or super fantastic or whatever. Like, it's kind of like there's a little bit of stuff where I was like, I didn't really expect that to happen. But then on the other end, when you have the Dodgers and the Brewers in the NLCS, you're like, that's exactly what, based on, some of what you saw in the regular season. That was definitely a formidable series. So we will, when we check back in, I'm sure we'll probably have a better idea, at least, with what the World Series is going to look like. But we will talk about the Giants here. There's not a ton to talk about, but based on what we've seen so far. So, as expected, Bruce Bochy steps down and Skip Shoemaker is the choice in Texas, which leaves somebody like Nick Hundley for the Giants. But then just today, the Padres manager stepped down, and so there's now a spot open in San Diego. And you had mentioned to me offline that Nick Hundley actually lives in San Diego. So you wonder if that is a possibility. And if I'm picking between two franchises, as awesome as having Fernando Tatis for the next 10 years or whatever might look, that place just seems messy, man.
Yeah. Yeah, and you're right. And when I threw that out there, I completely forgot about their situation. I didn't really think of it. And yeah, ownership is a mess. But you do have a GM who goes for it.
Yeah.
But I mean, going for it and not knowing who your ownership is going to be, and are they going to let you go for it? Next year, the year after that. So yeah, it's a tough situation. If honestly, if you had to choose between the Giants and Buster Posey and the Padres and Preller, I think right now you got to lean towards the Giants just because of that situation. And you look at the Giants roster, and you have to say too, in that ballpark, and if they're going to go after a lot of pitching, you got to look at all those situations. And I think about, if I'm a manager, I'm probably going to lean towards the Giants as well. Plus, Hundley and Posey have that relationship. Hundley was Posey's backup catcher in 2018, 19. Hundley doesn't really have any ties to the Padres, so you've got to look at that as well. You would think if Hundley's going to take his first managerial job, I think he's going to want to do it with his friend and co-catcher Buster Posey as his boss, because it kind of gives him they know each other, and so making decisions could go hand in hand with those two, and it would be an ideal situation, I think, for Hundley.
What is it with catchers and becoming managers, by the way?
I think it's just because they're field managers for the most part. When they're out there, they're kind of running the show. They're calling the game. They're deep into the game. They know hitters' tendencies, pitchers' tendencies, fielder position based on pitches. They have their hands in everything and their brain in everything before the game when it comes to prep work. So I think that's they're they call catchers gear the tools of ignorance, but really there are so many catchers that are managers nowadays, so you can't really say that. But I mean, it's the old joke. Hey, this guy's kind of a meathead. Let's throw some gear on him and stick him behind the plate. But no, you got to be a brain, especially nowadays. You got to be a brain to be a catcher in this league.
Yeah, I was thinking oh, there's not that many shortstops as managers that I can remember, or center fielders. But then if you go back to when we were younger, Frank Robinson, Hall of Fame outfielder, Roger Craig, sort of, longtime pitcher, but not standout in any way.
Yeah.
I guess what position did Jimmy Davenport play? He was only an interim. It was
third
base.
Yeah, third base, I believe.
And then Dusty's an outfielder. Felipe Alou is an outfielder, and then Bochy catcher. Melvin.
You did have Ozzie Guillen, who is a shortstop who was a manager for a short period of time, but obviously we found out he wasn't that smart.
Yeah.
So if you want to know how he got fired, go ahead and look that one up. But
yeah, but yeah, I mean, there's it seems like catchers are usually, maybe, I don't know. I guess we'd have to look at it historically. What positions are these players? Gabe Kapler, outfielder. Dave Roberts, outfielder. So, Don Mattingly, first baseman. He's one of the rare first basemen that I can remember.
That's true.
Yeah. All right. So let's talk about I guess the Giants did talk to Brandon Hyde, the Orioles manager, who's a Bay Area native. The San Francisco Standard mentioned that it wasn't confirmed if it was a formal interview or not. So I don't, we haven't really heard really anybody else. We only know that he talked to Bruce Bochy and basically said, if you want to help out in any way, let me know. But they're not going to go back to that one. Not going to go back to that well. And they're looking for someone younger and someone who they can, establish and have, many years. And I've actually heard something that made a lot of sense to me when they were talking about Bochy. The idea of Bochy, and we kind of said the same thing. Like if you were the team that was like at 98 wins every year and you just needed someone to get you over the hump, then you're like, yeah, we need the hired gun to come in and help us get over the top. But what the Giants are looking for is somebody like, you don't want to have somebody who at any point could just retire on you, because then you're always kind of wondering and you're always having to prepare for that to happen. And so, trying to find somebody that you can establish a relationship with and hopefully keep around for a long time. That makes a lot of sense. The only thing that did make sense to me with Bochy is like if they hired Bochy and then whomever the replacement was going to be, and they're on the same staff, and you're just kind of getting that person ready and being under the tutelage of Bruce Bochy. But I mean, at this point, I'm kind of hopeful for Hundley, and for no other reason than he's a former Giant and seems to be highly thought of. And when it comes to these candidates, we don't really know how much styles of managing influences teams, how our managers, how are they valuable in these days? Because you see someone like Dave Roberts, who's been uber successful, but his reputation is more as a button pusher than anything else. And that's probably a disservice to Dave Roberts because there is more to that. But,
Right.
How much influence do they have? So, this whole thing, like manager wise, we're like, oh, yay, Gabe Kapler. And then, oh, yay, Bob Melvin. Like,
Yeah.
we didn't really have an opinion plus or negative. Like, oh, that Bob Melvin, he blah, 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 blah. You're just like, yeah, you just trust these guys to make the decisions and hope that it works.
Well, and a guy like Bob Melvin, though, you could look at a track record, right? You've seen him do it. You know what he is and what he's about. And I mean, we've seen him with Matt Williams for years. We've seen him with all these guys on different teams for years. With a guy like Nick Hundley, you just kind of go, well, there's no track record.
Yeah.
He hasn't managed anywhere in professional baseball. So that's a little bit of a tough one. But again, Stephen Vogt never did. So you have to kind of look at those guys and say, well, Stephen Vogt was a catcher. He worked with Buster Posey. Nick Hundley is a catcher. He worked with Buster Posey. Does it mean it's going to give us the same results? No, absolutely not. But still, that's all you can look at it, and you have to say, look, if Buster is picking a guy like Nick Hundley who doesn't have the experience, he's got the utmost. I'm at a loss for words. I don't even the utmost confidence in him is what I wanted to say. So a situation like that, it would be exciting, I think, from a standpoint of a fan, but also we're going to look back and say, look at the first half of the season. Can Nick Hundley do that and then push us past that to the point where we can win 3 more ball games?
Yeah.
And again, is the National League going to be like that next year where you're getting in with 84 wins as the final wild card spot? I think that's an anomaly. I don't think that's going to happen every year. We talk about 90 wins, 89, 90, 91, somewhere in there. If Nick Hundley can, take a team and lead them to that with no experience, that's something exciting. But also we look at the other end of the spectrum and we say, but it could be a disaster since he's never managed before. And I don't think Buster wants to put himself in that type of situation. So if he picks Nick Hundley, he's going to give him a few years. I don't think Buster Posey is going to make a hire, see how it goes in a year and a half, and then can somebody during the 2027 All-Star break. So this is going to be a pick that's going to be around for probably 4 or 5 years to see what they can do, because there's still some youth in this ball club. And then you've got Devers locked up for a while. You've got Adamas locked up for a while. You got Chapman locked up for a while. You got Eldridge coming up. You got a lot of these guys, Elliot Ramos, they're going to be there for a while. And so, yeah, I don't know. It's kind of nerve-wracking as a fan, because we're sitting here going, man, we haven't heard anything. He said he was going to keep it close to his vest. He's done that. And it's kind of, it's getting a little nerve-wracking. I thought we would wake up this morning. I thought, okay, Monday morning, we're going to wake up. We're going to hear some news.
Yep.
There's going to be a hire. But no, we just hear about another, step down of a manager in the National League West. And so now we're like, uh-oh, what now what happens? Now the clock is ticking. We got to make a move here.
And I guess one of the reasons maybe to not do anything right now is if he had ideas of folks who are on the current coaching staffs of the team still available. So maybe there's a waiting period for that. Maybe there are people that Buster wants to talk to on those staffs.
Yeah, that's a good possibility.
Yeah, I mean, we're just going to have to be patient on this one. And I guess the last thing I wanted to ask you, and we didn't really prep this, but it was just something I was thinking about. Buster obviously has talked about the type of team that he wants. Smart base running, strong defense, good pitching. That's what he believes wins baseball games. And I was thinking, like, if you, as a fan, if you could tell Buster, hey, we need a better player at this position, what position would you actually choose? Like, and we are thinking, okay, we got Bryce and Devers to control first.
Right.
We got Casey and Koss at second. We got Adamas and Chapman filling out the infield. Then you got Jung-Hoo in center, Elliott in left, and then whomever is going to play right field.
well, you just said it. I mean, that's yeah. I want an upgrade in right field, and I'm sure everybody does, and I'm sure that's Buster's probably number one when you look at the lineup. Kyle Tucker's going to be out there. I mean, are we going to be giving away big contracts again to non-pitcher, to position players? I don't think so. I don't think it's going to be a Kyle Tucker. But if you really want to shore up this lineup and you really want to show free agent pitchers that you're serious about winning, then you get a Kyle Tucker and you stick him in right field. And then you've got a really nice looking outfield. You got a really nice looking 3 through 6 in the lineup. And then you've got starting pitchers that they're going to look and they're going to say, look, these guys are, now they're going to score some runs, and I got to pitch in that ballpark, and I don't have to, and I also got to pitch in like Dodger Stadium and some of the other ballparks around the National League West and the American League West. I that's something I definitely want to do. So I would say right field, and not necessarily Kyle Tucker, but when you talk about outfielders, stick Jung-Hoo Lee in right, and then put Kyle Tucker in center, or however you want to do it. But I think the Giants definitely need another like strong power outfielder.
I actually like the idea of something that we talked about all, second half of the season, which is, could we get a dynamite center fielder and move Jung-Hoo over to left? Now that would create some frustration, and with Elio, maybe you push Jung-Hoo to right instead. But I have a hard time thinking that they're going to sign another long-term contract on an older player. Not older like right now, but one that ages, at the end, because you don't want to get stuck with, you're going to have Devers at 38 years old making, $30 million or whatever, and then another guy who can't really play the field. Like, you don't want to overload on that stuff. So I do wonder if I can't imagine, like, there's Pete Alonso. Like, I can't imagine the Giants signing Pete Alonso to like a 9-year deal, right? Because you cannot pair all of these guys up with long contracts because they all expire and get old at the same time. So
exactly.
it really is going to be about their draft and them bringing in younger players or trading for younger players, which is costly, as we know, especially if they have time left until free agency. So I don't know who that player is. Like we thought that there were some center fielders on the in the farm system. We're like, oh, what about Grant McCray? Oh, what about Wade Meckler? Oh, what about what was that kid's name who was like the old guy, but he kept getting hurt? Was it Vance or something? What was that?
Oh, yeah. Vaughn.
Yeah,
Right?
Von Braun.
Yeah.
Von Braun.
Von
And
Braun.
we thought we had those guys possibly, and none of them have panned out. Now maybe Grant McCray could hit a curveball or, could not strike out 150 times. And maybe he becomes that guy. We saw that throw in that Dodgers game, right? When he threw the guy out
defensive replacement, fourth outfielder. We got a lot of those guys.
And he's got speed, but it would be nice to have somebody, fill that spot in center field, or a really good defensive left fielder that makes Jung-Hoo Lee's life a little bit easier, because there's a lot of space out there. So that's what I would look at.
Giants fans are going to like this one, but looking at the list of preliminary outfielders and the top 4 based on WAR last year, number 1 would be Kyle Tucker, 8.7 WAR. He is 29 years old. You could do a 7-year deal, 8-year deal, but like you said, do the Giants want to do that long of a deal for another hitter? Number 2, Cody Bellinger, 30 years old. That could be a fit. Again, I don't think he's going to want anything less than a 7-year deal probably at this point. He's probably going to want to retire with whatever club he goes to.
Mm-hmm.
Number 3 on the list, I'm only doing the top 4, Harrison Bader, 4.4. And again, Cody Bellinger has a player option, so he still has to opt out. Harrison Bader has a mutual option, but he has a 4.4 WAR. Guess who number 4 is on the list? Top 4 outfielders.
Mike Yastrzemski.
Our old pal. 4.1 WAR, 35 years old.
Let's go. I still blame Harrison Bader, by the way, for that Phillies series. He had Vesia on. He had him, and it goes 3-2, 3-2, 3-2, and the pitch he swung at to end that at bat and left him off and let him off the hook was not even close to strike zone. Like, what are you doing, dude? Like, again, I understand these are clutch moments, and there's lots of urgency and nervousness, but like, you're there. You're a professional baseball player. Come on. You can't swing at that pitch.
Well, he looks like a professional baseball player, but sometimes he'll have at bats like that. I mean, you look at last year too. All right, in Philly. So in Minnesota, he hit 258, OPS plus of 113. Then he goes to Philly. He hits 305 with an OPS plus of 124. So do you think his little punch in WAR that he got, do you think that had a lot to do with that lineup? Ballpark? I mean, because Minnesota's lineup is bad. So when you look at somebody's WAR, you go, well, the lineup around him helps. So if the Giants went and got a guy like him with a 4.4 WAR last year, do you even expect the same kind of production out of him? I don't know. I wouldn't personally.
Yeah, I know he hurt his hamstring or whatever,
right?
And he was day to day in a lot of that series, but it was just like, when you watch these moments and you're like, man, the Dodgers bullpen is suffering. Like, Vesia is throwing so many pitches. Like, you control the at bat, and then you just swing at garbage. And like, Bryce is on second. Bryce might have. He probably is like, man, woe is me. Calgon, take me away. I can't do this by myself. Who are these guys? Whatever.
Could have been in San Francisco. Could have been with the Giants. Yeah, it's funny too, because hating the Dodgers as much as we do, then we get ourselves some new villains throughout the playoffs. Guys who can't produce against the Dodgers when the light is shining on them, like Harrison Bader. Now we're frustrated with that guy.
Yeah.
Now I want to see him do, bad next year, but I don't want to see him do bad if he's a Giant.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
All right, let's end this with a little bit of old guy alley. So I had an MRI done on my left knee.
Jeez.
So what I think it is, and I've had this injury before. I had it in college actually at San Jose State. At San Jose State, I took basketball class, like PE, like every semester. Like I just
Yes.
really
Didn't I play with you in an intramural?
I think you did.
I think we did, like in a league with a
Yeah.
bunch of other guys from KSS.
Yeah, with the radio station guys.
Yeah, it was fun.
And so, but I would just take, like, I didn't get any credit for it. I was essentially paying San Jose State so that I could play basketball at just to stay.
Yeah, just
Exercise.
get out there and play. Yeah.
So
Get a credit for it.
I did I did like a crossover, and my left knee like just gave out completely, and I just went down, boom, hit the floor. And so then I had to hop my way over to the doctor or the nurse or whatever to have them just check it out. And they're like, go see a real doctor and have them look at it. And what it turned out is it was a sprained MCL in my knee. So I had to get a brace and all that stuff. So I remember what that felt like. And over the last couple of weeks, I felt that little pinch in my knee again. And it's from playing pickleball. Now, pickleball is lots of folks pick up injuries because you go from, I'm sure there are active people who are also playing pickleball, but you go from like not really being that active in that same way. And now you're like hustling around the court and start and stop, and your knees are doing stuff that they haven't done in a little while. And so I can see why the injuries happen, but it is so weird trying to figure out how to make sure my knees are okay. And so I thought, I was like, okay, get this MRI done. I should get the results sometime today or tomorrow. But then it's like, well, we have pickleball class or we have to play. And I'm like, oh my gosh, like how can I even walk, let alone play?
Yeah.
But it's that same old mentality of like, when you're playing city league baseball and your arm hurts and you can barely raise it, and you're like, no, I got to play. Like, I can't not play. Like, the competition is what gets me going. Yeah. And so I'm like doing like all kinds of stretching, and I'm putting CBD oil on my knees underneath my knee braces to keep it heated throughout the practice. And it's just insane. It's probably not best for my health, but it's just those, still get those competitive juices going. So it's so much fun.
Oh yeah. No, I'm with you. And I've got, speaking of old guy alley, I've got this forearm thing going on, and it started in July, and I can't get it to go away. And it's like I don't even know it. I keep trying to look things up, and it goes tennis elbow, and I go, no, it's there. Golfer's elbow, no, because it's not.
It's just like a strain.
Yeah, it's just some sort of strain right on the forearm, and anything I do, like if I do weights and stuff, it gets worse.
Yeah.
And it gets better, a couple days after, and then it's worse again, and then just randomly my grip is gone. So I might have to go back to physical therapy again. I don't want to do it. It gets so expensive. When you're older, it just gets expensive because you got to go to physical therapy like every other year for something.
I know. The doctor was like, I can schedule you physical therapy. And I was like, man, I already know how to do all of these exercises. Is it valuable to get a doctor to tell me to do these exercises that I know how? Because the last time I went to physical therapy, at some point, he didn't even like, I worked myself out, because he was like,
yeah,
you work yourself out harder than I can work you out. So you just do it. And it was just literally the facility. So yeah, it's just like, I gotta figure it out. It's really what the value is with the risk, because we're playing once a week, every weekend. And so it's almost like I'm preparing my body for this hour and a half class every week. So it's kind of crazy, but it's fun.
Start sending you some cortisone injection needles or something.
Well, I already get shots in my knees as it is for the arthritis stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we'll see. All right. So
Sucks getting old.
yeah, it does. So we will be back now. As far as when, I think we're going to play it by ear. As far, if the Giants do something and they make a hire, we'll probably be back in our normal Monday slot, live streaming like usual. But if they don't, if nothing happens next week and we're still kind of in the same position, maybe we'll skip the week or we'll come back midweek or we'll do something, but we're not going to force the show necessarily just to be on schedule because we want to have something juicy to talk about. And so that's just kind of going to be the rhythm during the off season is when we got stuff to talk about, we're going to talk about it. And if not, we'll just take a break. Which is why we have the other shows that we do. We Want Winners. Rod and I were up last night after the 49ers got beat up. They're just a beat up team, man. They're constantly hurt, losing guys left and right for the season.
That's football, man. It's so frustrating too because you have all these high hopes, and I've done that a few times with the Rams. You get all these high hopes, and all of a sudden you lose your key guys, and you're like, well, now we just get to watch the young guys play and hope they do well.
Yeah, for sure. And then Golden State Hoop with our Pod Holla show with the Valkyries. They're in the off season, and it's a very important CBA. They have to redo the CBA, and there's lots of stuff going on there. And then, of course, the Warriors start their season next week already. They start.
Gosh.
And Brad, you'll like this. They are back on NBC, which they haven't been on NBC.
Yes.
The basketball hasn't been on NBC in over 20 years.
Yeah,
so
right.
You get to hear the John Tesh anthem all over again.
Love that John Tesh, man. Yeah, that's such. Yeah, I've been seeing the commercials, and I get excited for it anytime I hear that song. I love that.
So it'll be cool to see them back on NBC. But no Marv Albert. But.
No, you can't bring him back.
Marv Albert's got to be in his 80s.
Probably. So no more ABC, right? That ABC.
No,
ESPN?
Actually, they still have ABC, ESPN. What they gave up. Or what the deal that they don't have anymore is Turner. So no TNT.
Oh, okay.
They've been on TNT or at least on Turner Sports on and off since the 80s. So that was kind of crazy.
Yeah. But, is that why Barkley? So that's why Barkley, he's done, right?
No, they moved that show to ESPN.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, I don't think it's going to be the same, but we'll see.
Probably not.
It doesn't feel like it, but
yeah.
Alrighty. So, like I said, we'll be back if there is some news. And if not, we just may take the week off, but we'll play it by ear and just always stay subscribed to the podcast feed and also to the YouTube channel. And you will know if we have a show, but we got other shows going on. So there will not be a lack of content. All right. For Brad, I am Double G. We will see you when we see you. Peace out.
Peace.